Hey guys, pretty much everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. So today I'm going to do Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and ETC. I'm going to skip Ripple. I honestly have nothing to say about it on the 4 hour. It's just bonkers buying. Alright, so Bitcoin. Again, if you've never seen any of the series, the general proposition, supposition, hypothesis is that the best analysis occurs on the 4 hour for cryptocurrencies. That's just my thinking. For Bitcoin, we did get a local high at this point. Nice pullback. It was due. It's good. The smaller and more frequent they are, the higher the price will go in the end, and the less violent the final pullback will be. So all this is a fib from high to low. This gives us a new target of 2100. That's right. I said it. I said it out loud for the first time. 2100. That's the fib extension. This is the least conservative target. If we move to the cup and handle slash inverted head and shoulders that I've been talking about, you can see it's hit the target pretty dead on and stopped there. Again, I always draw the fib extensions on the chart patterns as well as the measured move. So the measured move is always the horizontal to the extreme low or high and then projected upwards or downwards. And you can see projected from the point where it broke the, in this case, diagonal resistance on the index, it hit it almost dead on. We go to cloud, doubled cloud. You can see that this was your entry back here, and it's been golden this whole time. This didn't hit too close to the Kijun on the 4 hour here. It did on other exchanges. This candle looks amazingly bullish. Super long wick, one of the best examples of a dragonfly you're going to see, which is a definite support candle. This says that tons of people are buying here, obviously, and the dip was bought with chips, salsa, ralsa, etc. It should go higher based on that alone. Cloud doesn't really give you a great entry. It just says we're trending. Again, your entry was back here. Your re-entry is always around the Kijun. Doesn't look great on index. It looked better on other exchanges. As this goes more and more parabolic, it's going to get farther away from the cloud, and that's saying it's getting more and more overbought, but that's no surprise. If we look at a few pitchforks, August low, Bitfinex hack, and we go high low here, we've hit the target dead on again. So depending on how you want to measure this stuff, what you want to look at, if you want to look at chart patterns, if you just want to look at pitchfork, this target's been here since these points existed. Okay, I've talked about this in other videos. So this is the other pitchfork, which sort of extends the zone here. These zones have been here as soon as these points existed. This is telling me we're going higher, or we're going to try to go higher, or we have room to go higher, I should say, and that isn't the definite top. So again, we're looking at 18 to 2100, something like that, depending on where this goes before all said and done. I usually talk about Heikin-Ashi. So again, just to illustrate the point here, you're looking for 3 or more candles with body, none of this sideways crap, for an entry on the 4 hour. So here's a good entry, and then when it flips from red to green, let's say you're asleep, you miss it, whatever, you're looking for re-entry, 3, 4 more candles again. All of these are valid. You can move your stops accordingly. That's on you. This is a bad example of an entry. This is a better example of an entry. You're seeing something with width here, the candles. You can even wait till it breaks local high. That's another good strategy. And again, I didn't circle this, but here's 3 more. Not a great entry in hindsight. These are examples of bad entries. You're not getting consistency here with I like 3 candles, although I rarely use Heikin-Ashi as part of my entries setup. It's certainly viable. And again, 3 candles, breaks local high. There's your entry. 3 candles, breaks local high. Again, this is after the red to green flip. We're definitely not 3 candles in yet for re-entry here on Heikin-Ashi. And then lastly, if we go to Bollinger Bands, I think the most important thing here is you can use Bollinger Bands for deciding whether or not it's the top. So if we look at whether or not it's the bottom. So we're just going to flip it. Was this the bottom? We had a double bottom here. Was this the bottom? The way Bollinger has it is he looks at Bollinger Band width. If the second drop was lower and was inside of the Bollinger Bands more, basically if we contrast this double bottom to this double bottom, you can see you basically have a div here. Lower low, higher low in the B-band width, and here there was no div. This says this wasn't a bottom. I mean, it was the bottom in hindsight, but this says technically, based on the technicals, it was not a bottom. Now you can play around with squeezes. I generally avoid that as far as deciding whether it's the top or bottom. But you can see just based on squeezes historically that this could go higher for sure as far as expansion is concerned. So what I'd be looking for here, maybe a squeeze down to this zone again, and then expansion with something like this. You get expansion that's not as great, as well as this div on Bollinger Bands. This is super like technical, and if you understand Bollinger Bands, you'll know what I'm talking about. I don't use it a lot. There was a subtle RSI div here as well, lower low, higher low, and RSI. So that's something else you can use to like check that against. And you'll notice here there was no div on this, and the Bollinger Band width almost matches RSI very closely here in both cases. So you may just want to skip using the Bollinger Band width altogether. But this is just a chart setup I have, so I look at it occasionally. So again, I'm looking for double top, double bottom situations like this with a div. It tells me it's the top. That's a sell signal in this case. This was the buy signal. All right, that's Bitcoin. Overall, it looks good for more up, especially based on the candle, this candle right here. Now, if this candle was this candle up here, that's a blow-off shooting star. That's heavy reversal. This is not a reversal candle. It's a bullish reversal candle. It's not a bearish reversal. So we're good. Everything looks fine. As crazy as everything is, it should keep going. If we move on to ETH BTC, I like this over ETH USD. It has more volume. It moves the market. Should move the market more than USD pair will. The biggest thing I'm seeing here is a cup and handle all day. You can see rounded. We pulled back nicely. This was technically a bear flag pennant, whatever you want to call it, that actually broke up. So that says this is the handle. Did not break the 50% of the entire move. Very bullish on the cup and handle pattern. You can look it up, but basically the less it pulls back, the more bullish it is. So this looks good for up. Again, I'm using the measured move target, horizontal resistance to low, projected upward from the horizontal resistance, as well as the fib extension. So that gives us anywhere between 0.075 and 0.081. Okay, looks good. Cloud, the reentry was all day here on the 4-hour Kijun, and you can see why it's always viable to have bids there. Entry was roughly in here in the beginning, and then as lagging span got ahead of Cloud, definitely on this candle here. This was green, TK was green, bullish. So you're all set there. We move on to Heikin-Ashi. Again, 3-4 candles breaking local high, good as an entry. 3-4 candles breaking local high. This one didn't pan out as well. And again, here you have 3-4 candles. You're currently breaking local high. We'll see how far this goes. I'm expecting to go higher. Just one pitchfork that I kind of forced. I'm not a pitchfork expert. I just use the pitchfork. This is all professional advice, but it is unlicensed for entertainment. So you can see it's sort of at the diagonal resistance imaginary line here. The target's some ridiculous like 0.15, whatever it is. Long term, that's certainly viable based on the pitchfork. Should it fall out of the pitchfork, this is null and void, but right now it's still active. Moving on to Litecoin, the biggest thing, it's not on here, but there's a flat Kumo that goes back maybe a year from now, where there's a target of 0.022. So that's just there on its own as far as the cloud's concerned. It was a little messy, but your re-entry is always TK cross, Kumo breakout, close above local high, yada yada yada, Kijun bounce. Hopefully, like, you did this, if you've seen videos from me, you just know what I'm about to say before I say it. And again, all this here was breaking of local high. This wasn't really a TK cross considering they're touching, but that just says this happened too fast on this time frame. So just a really nice, doesn't look great on 4 hour, but overall the cloud has held it up 3 times now. And again, your target 022, and this is a pretty messy fork, but it did hit the, that's low here, it did hit the median line. It says it has much higher, 0.024, 0.028. Again, you just have to watch this as it happens. But it's trying to break the median line now, which is certainly bullish. And if I look at 2 fib extensions, you can see extreme low to local high. It hit the fib extension almost dead on. It's another example of why you should use fib extensions. Again, this isn't rocket science. It's just high and low. This isn't perfectly on here, so it's a little around the point. But the deal is, that was the target as soon as the local high happened. Okay, so that's that one. And if we move it, this is now the target as soon as this local high happened. And you can see it's reaching for that. This one makes a little less sense. You can see it bounced. When I'm looking for fibs that makes sense, I'm just looking for bounces on the fib lines. Bounce, bounce, not too convincing, whatever. But this one looks good. Bounce, bounce, not too convincing here. But you get the point. You know, you're just looking for validity based on the past. If I just draw this out for the first time and I'm seeing support resistance on every rung of the fib, that says I should pay attention to this. Other people are clearly paying attention to it, whether they know they are or not. Those levels mean something. And then lastly, ETC. Not much to say about ETC. This is the fib extension. Here's the 1272 and 1618. Again, low to local high here. This was a flag that broke up. And if I'm looking at validity, I can see resistance good, definitely support. So this looks super valid to me. Therefore, these resistance targets should be valid. And last chart for the video, just the cloud. Doesn't look as good as LTC as far as the cloud holding it up, but it does get you in here. You know, there was an edge-to-edge trade here that was small potatoes compared to what this rally has been, and there hasn't been a TK cross this whole time, bearish. So everything says you should still be open, and that's pretty much the case for all of the 4 hour clouds currently. There's no signals telling you to close. So that's all I have for today. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe. Hit me up on Twitter, Telegram, and happy trading.